Watching at the beginning, stay tuned to find out. Until then, let's introduce the rest of the cast. I am Eric, of course, with a K. And then we have Joe.
I'm Joe.
Hey.
It's great.
And then don't forget Nick.
Without a K, thank you.
And the HBIC, Ty.
What does
Still
that
not
mean?
understanding
that.
what
HBIC.
God's
Like we all
green
know
earth
what that
that
means.
means.
Don't worry, you'll find
Oh,
out.
you know the HBIC? Guys, you know the HBIC. You've heard of it.
No, I don't.
Since this is the YouTube episode, let me ask you guys, like, what was your introduction to YouTube?
Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Nick Santiago.
And I'm Shania Richburg. Nick, we made it to Friday. Happy Friday. Today's Friday, April 12th, 2019.
An amazing view. That's how some people describe the landing of SpaceX's Falcon Heavy rocket launch yesterday evening. SpaceX successfully launched its Falcon Heavy rocket into space on Thursday. The launch put the Arabsat 6A communication station into orbit. An almost bigger accomplishment is all three rocket boosters landed back on Earth for the very first time. Two of the boosters landed at the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, while the third landed on an offshore drone ship. The landings mark the first time that a rocket's core stages can be refurbished and reused. Reusing the rockets is projected to save SpaceX millions of dollars. A 30-year-old policy is overturned, but with a catch. The FDA recently revised its blood donor deferral recommendations for MSMs. Nightly News has more on the revision, its conditions, and who it affects.
You should be able to detect it within less than 12 months.
12 months is exactly how long MSMs have to abstain from sexual activity with other MSMs to donate blood. MSM is a term used to refer to men who have sex with other men. Prior to the revision, MSMs were not allowed to donate blood to reduce the risk of transmitting HIV. Senior Matthew Bonachea is an MSM who feels the policy could be more obtainable.
I think it's a step in the right direction, but I still think that there's more work that needs to be done, especially since the technology has just improved so much, and we're able to tell with almost absolute certainty whether or not blood is or isn't infected with HIV.
One of the possible problems when donating blood is that people can lie about their sexual encounters. The FDA requires blood establishments like OneBlood to follow the deferral criteria. Julius Miller is a donor service specialist at OneBlood, and he says donor confidentiality and comfortability takes precedent.
When giving blood, you know, you have to really take into consideration that you're saving lives. And so we have to still trust our donors when they come and donate. And also when we take the blood back to the lab, they do the testing, so that also confirms that the blood is safe to give to the individuals that's in the hospital.
In Orlando, Shania Richburg, UCF, Nightly News.
For more information on blood donation policies, you can visit the FDA site at www.fda.gov.
The U.S. Department of Defense recently gave UCF Restorers $3 million to develop new software. Over the past 10 years, UCF Restorers has been helping veterans with PTSD through virtual reality simulations. The virtual reality simulations use exposure therapy to copy the exact smell, place, and movements that made them have PTSD. The new grant will help UCF develop more simulation scenarios to reach a wider range of patients. UCF Restorers clinical assistant Michael Gramlich says UCF received the grant due to long-term results.
I think the rates we've shown is that people still no longer meet diagnostic criteria for post-traumatic stress beyond 6 months. And that's what's really powerful, is that it's not just they get better in 3 weeks, it really does have long-lasting benefits.
UCF Restorers plans to start using that grant money to develop the new software immediately. That's awesome.
UCF PD is hiring 12 new officers to meet the demands of the campus expanding to downtown. The new officers will have the same training as every other officer that is hired, but the officers hired will stay here on campus while seasoned officers will go to downtown. The officers going downtown will do ride-alongs with Orlando Police to become more familiar with the area. Commander Scott Freeman is happy for the opportunities that come along with this expansion.
I think it's a wonderful experience. I think the opportunity is great for growth not only from the police department but for the university. It increases our ability to partner with stakeholders in the city of Orlando and County of Orange, and I think that the police department is very excited about it, myself included.
Besides ride-alongs with OPD, UCF officers and Orlando officers will be able to communicate through radio and dispatchers. UCF PD will still offer the same services downtown that they do on campus, like escorts and the emergency blue light phones.
Did you know that meningitis is more prevalent among college students than any other age group? Meningitis survivor Jamie Schonblum uses her personal experiences to advocate for the meningitis vaccine. Nightly News reporter Carolina Tessuto, has more on how meningitis is affecting UCF.
Jamie Schonblum is a USA Paralympic gold medal winning cyclist. In her first semester at the University of Texas, she suddenly fell ill. Hours later, Schonblum was in the hospital and doctors found she contracted meningitis. 3 months later, all her fingers and both her legs below the knee were amputated.
Yeah, I saw my limbs go from red rash to purple to black to rotting. I was half alive and half dead. I actually didn't get my amputations for 3 months, so I saw my dead limbs for a very long time.
Student Health Services says the MMR, hepatitis B, and meningitis vaccines are required for admission. However, students can sign a waiver rejecting the hepatitis B and meningitis vaccines. Executive Director of Student Health Services, Dr. Michael Dachim, says in his 18 years at UCF, there were 5 cases of meningitis, 1 resulting in death.
It's an ever-present risk that's out there in the population. College students, college-age students are at increased risk.
College students living in close quarters, such as dorms, are particularly susceptible to meningitis. The CDC finds that 16 to 23-year-olds are at the greatest risk for getting the disease.
If it's a requirement, and it's a requirement for a reason. Meningitis is a terrifying disease. And again, there are people who are more susceptible to it who aren't able to get the vaccine.
In Orlando, Carolina Tessuto with UCF Nightly News.
UCF Student Health Services offers all required and recommended vaccinations, including meningitis, at the Health Center. Students can make appointments in person, or they can call the Health Center at 407-823-2701.
UCF continues to take the lead as one of the largest universities in the nation. Nightly News reporter Abisola Adiyamo tells us more about how UCF's population affects class sizes.
Studio Art senior Victoria David says UCF's large student population means huge class sizes, which sometimes feels impersonal.
You get talked over, you don't feel as comfortable asking questions, which is like a big disadvantage to large class sizes.
UCF data shows a growing number of classes with 100+ students. David says that in these classes, it's difficult for her to feel seen. UCF is home to over 68,000 students, making it one of the largest universities in the nation. Vice President of Enrollment, Dr. Gordon Chavez, says UCF plans to be more selective in the admissions process. Chavez says the focus will be on retention and bringing in highly competitive freshmen in the next school year.
The admissions process has become more competitive, and as a result, we have seen increases in the quality of the incoming freshman class.
Interim Vice Provost Melody Bowden says even with the large student population, UCF upholds academic standards through adaptive learning and online classes.
Even in a big class at a big school, students are getting just the kind of information and learning tools that they need targeted toward their specific gaps and strengths.
However, a study by the Journal of Education found that for college students, grades declined as class sizes increased. Chavez says there is a strong chance for smaller classes in the fall. In Orlando, Abisola Adeyemo, UCF Nightly News.
The total fall 2019 student enrollment will not be determined until May 1st. However, Dr. Chavez says there is a 6% increase in applicants.
A new free speech club is starting here at UCF. The nationally recognized club, Young Americans for Liberty, is starting a chapter at UCF. The club says its focus is on allowing students to have the freedom to say what they want, even when it might sound sensitive to some. One of the club's main goals is to make sure freedom of speech and the First Amendment is upheld to the highest standard. Club President Jake DeClemente says the ability to say what you need to say without having to worry about crossing boundaries will only help solve problems.
You're going to stop progression in solving those problems that need to be solved. So allowing freedom of speech is going to allow full expression of your ideas, and it's also going to allow for full solutions.
Young Americans for Liberty are now taking members, and the club will officially start in the fall.
The Joust New Venture competition is UCF's premier startup showcase. The competition's final round chose the winner yesterday. The Joust competition highlighted students' entrepreneurial ventures and businesses. Out of over 60 applicants, this year's winner and fan favorite was WAWI. The personalized assistance program helps people with diet-restricting chronic illnesses. The company won $12,000 plus business services offered by sponsors. As for what's next for WAWI and its team, they are working on getting more contracts with various hospitals. Shania, it's a beautiful day right now. I hope it stays that way.
Right, yeah, the weather has been perfect today, but throughout this week, I don't know. We had the rain, we had the shine. Bree, let us know what the current conditions are looking like.
Yeah, Shania, the weather outside is perfect today. Today is the perfect day for any outdoor activities, but let's take a more in-depth look at our current conditions. The current temperature is a nice and sunny 75 degrees outside today. While you won't need an umbrella today, you might need some hairspray because the humidity is at 79%. There's a nice little breeze outside going southeast at 7 miles per hour. We'll have 0% chance of rain, so make sure you go outside and catch some rays today. Maybe go take a jog around the park after work or have a picnic. But that's all I have for today's current conditions. Back to you, Shania and Nick.
Thanks, Bree. It's been a long spring semester, Shania, but the school semester's almost over in a few weeks.
I know, that is so exciting. I cannot wait. Finals week is almost here, and after the break, we'll tell you how you can get ahead of your finals when we come back. They had double skirts in there. Yeah, they just told me. They all in them? It's all in the shot. All right, students, I know you're excited because finals week is just around the corner, or maybe you're not. But for some students, this can easily be one of the most stressful times of the semester. Because of this, many UCF departments offer additional services during this time to help you all out and better prepare for a week long of testing. During final season, UCF Student Academic Resource Center, or SARC, partners with the Student Union to host Study Union. Patricia Hartley is a coordinator at SARC and says students need to be proactive.
Well, first off, we encourage students not to just wait till finals to study. We want them to study and have a plan in place prior to that.
SARC offers an ACE coaching program that assists students with their studies. Finals week officially begins Wednesday, April 23rd.
Orlando is the first city in Florida to adopt a resolution to give LGBTQ businesses the same incentives as other small businesses. The resolution adopted Tuesday gives LGBTQ businesses the same opportunities for training programs and contracts that businesses run by other minorities get. UCF senior Kaylee Dandino runs her own design business and says she appreciates Orlando protecting its queer community.
It makes sense, like the amount of support that Orlando has shown as a city for the LGBTQ is amazing. I definitely, I don't think, as I'm selling my stuff, there's this big idea of people walking up and going hey, I'm also LGBT.
The LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce registry shows there are more than 300 LGBTQ run businesses in the city. City commissioners say so far only 1,200 cities in the U.S. have this resolution.
Up next, Bree is in the studio. She has your highs and lows throughout the state of Florida.
Plus, I have your 5-day forecast and what you can expect over the weekend.
Shania, it's a beautiful day. I hope it stays that way for the weekend because the spring football game's coming up and I'm looking forward to it.
You're absolutely right. I hope so too. Bree, what's the weather going to be like for the game?
Thanks, Shania and Nick. Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day outside today. As you can see, I took this picture this morning. There were people outside doing homework. The sun was shining bright. It was an absolutely perfect morning outside. But now let's take a look and see what it was like around campus. Around campus this morning, there was a bright, sunny day on Memory Ball. Perfect day to go drive your Lime bike around campus. People were in their hammocks, chilling, sleeping, doing homework on their phones. Perfect day outside, nice and sunny. And as you can see, it was not a good day to be on your phone because it was just so pretty outside. But let's go ahead and look at your highs for today. It'll all be in the 80s, Tallahassee at 85, Jacksonville 87, both Tampa and Orlando at 89 degrees, Miami at 84, all in the 80s today. Beautiful day outside, perfect to go to the beach and catch some rays. Now let's look at your lows. For your lows today, Tallahassee will be at 64 degrees, Jacksonville 69, Tampa and Orlando's in the 70s, 71 and 72, and Miami at 76. Now for your 5-day forecast, Saturday, it'll be a little rainy outside with 91 degrees and 72 as your low, 88 and 83 at your high for Sunday and Monday. For lows, both 67 and 61 in your 70s. 30% chance of rain on Sunday, 20% on Monday, so not too bad. Perfect day to go outside. And for Tuesday, it'll be a high of 85, a low of 65. And for Wednesday, 87 degrees is your high and your low is 69 degrees. That's all we have for your 5-day forecast. Back to you, Shania and Nick at the desk.
Thanks, Bree. After the commercial break, it's a big weekend for the War on I-4 with several sports in action for the latest rendition of this rivalry.
And the Orlando Magic did something they haven't done since Dwight Howard was on the team, and that's make the playoffs. We'll get you ready for the postseason.
Good afternoon, Knights fans. I'm Chris Tran. Let's see what's happening with UCF sports this week. The Orlando Magic made the playoffs for the first time since Dwight Howard left the team back in 2012. After wrapping up their regular season on Wednesday with a win over the Charlotte Hornets, the Magic earned the number 7 seed. They'll face the number 2 seed Toronto Raptors in the first round. Their 42 wins is the most they've had in 8 years. The Magic are led by center Nikola Vucevic, who leads the team, averaging 21 points and 12 rebounds a game. The Magic's first game this postseason is tomorrow at 5 p.m. on ESPN, and their first home game will be next Friday at 7 p.m. at the Amway Center. The Knights may have clinched the trophy last weekend, but the war on I-4 is not over yet. The two rivals will play in 2 more sports this weekend. It starts with UCF softball as they host USF in a 3-game series beginning tonight. First pitch is at 5:30 p.m. Then, men's tennis faces off against the Bulls on Saturday at the USTA National Campus at 3 p.m. And finally, women's tennis travels to Tampa on Sunday. Start time is set for 1:30. The Knights take the field tomorrow for the first time since they took on LSU in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day. After 3 weeks of practices, the Knights hold their annual spring game tomorrow. The last memory at Spectrum Stadium was a come-from-behind victory over Memphis for the AAC Championship. After losing some key players such as Tristan Hill and Dredrick Snelson, this is the first time fans will get to see what the team may look like over next year. One of the most important things coaches and fans will be looking at is the play of the 4 QBs vying to replace the injured Mackenzie Milton.
I do want to see them handle and manage the game. And the most important thing we do is take care of the football at the quarterback position. Learning how not to get your team beat is the first step of becoming your starter. Want them to make plays when they present themselves, but really just operate and manage the game, the ability to communicate.
The 2019 UCF Hall of Fame class will be honored at the game. Kickoff is set for 2:30. With Milton having taken some snaps over the past 3 seasons, fans will be seeing some different faces under center this weekend. Here to talk about the QB group is Nightly News reporter Zachary Winicky.
Right, and the first quarterback we're going to talk about who's competing for that job is Dylan Gabriel, the freshman from Hawaii, from Mililani, Hawaii, the same high school that Milton actually went to while he was there. Threw for 9,948 yards, which was a state record, 105 touchdowns, won the Gatorade Hawaii Player of the Year, and he should still be in high school, but he came here to compete for the job. So he's really looking to put his mark on the UCF Knights, at least for next season.
Yep, and the next quarterback we're going to talk about is redshirt freshman Quadri Jones. He's a local kid, went to Jones High School, leading them to their first district title since 1996. And he was the state 5A Player of the Year his senior year. He came in for one play last year against ECU on a trick play through a 42-yard touchdown. And so that's all the action he got last year, but it does make him the most efficient quarterback in school history.
You know, it does. And another player in this competition is going to be a familiar face. Dario Mack Jr. took over for Mackenzie Milton when he went down against USF. Came in, played really well in that AAC championship game where he had 340 yards, which was the most by a freshman since 2000. Had 6 total touchdowns and led the team to win Most Outstanding Player. Struggled a little bit in that Fiesta Bowl where he only threw for 97 yards, a touchdown interception, but he's looking to come back and take the job again next year.
Yeah, and then our last quarterback candidate is grad transfer Brandon Wimbush. He was at big school Notre Dame as a starter. He was 14-3 as a starter over the last 2 years. He started in the first 4 games of the season last year and then was benched for Ian Book for the later half of the year. He was still really successful at Notre Dame and threw for really pretty good stats. And he came in to compete for the job. He's a veteran, has some leadership to really mentor these younger guys here. And he's really hoping to make some damage early this spring practice. So what do you think going into the spring game we've seen from these quarterbacks so far?
Right, and I think when it comes down to it, it's the 2 experienced guys, and Dario Mack Jr. and Brandon Wimbush, are the 2 guys you're really going to want to watch because they have the most game experience, and I think they're going to be the ones we're going to look to lead the Knights next season.
All right, cool, and that's all the time we have for sports. We're going to send it back to the desk with Nick and Shania.
That's our time right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our YouTube channel at UCF Nightly News.
And if you got a story idea you want us to know about, you can reach us on our Twitter and Instagram at UCF Nightly News. Thanks for watching. Be sure to have a great day.